Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. I am a channeler, and my purpose, or my mission, if you will, in this world is to help each and every one of you who is listening, who is brought into this energy, to become more in tune with your true self, the true nature of you that exists beyond the confinements of your own human understanding. If you are new to this channel, thank you for being here. Somehow you have called forth these energies, and chances are there is something here for you that will help you release yourself from your inner prison. And we are all, as human beings, are in some way, shape, or form in our own inner prisons. It is these are prisons that are the creation of our mind, and the mind is the mind. It's not the brain. Mind is something greater than the physical body, than the physical brain. Mind, in essence, is, we could term it as consciousness itself. And there is nothing outside of consciousness itself. Consciousness itself exists for the purpose of creation. And you and I, and everyone, including your dog and the mouse that you're chasing out of the house, is part of this greater consciousness. And it is the most powerful tool that exists. And for me to even call it a tool is me limiting it. Any word we put on consciousness in terms of labels is literally limiting, because consciousness itself encompasses everything that is and isn't. And you and I are part of this consciousness. And since it is the most powerful tool that exists, it means that we are all in a possession of this tool. Though again, for me to say you are in a possession of it limits it. But there is no other way for me to verbalize it other than using very limiting human words. Bottom line is, if you are here, you have summoned this knowledge, this understanding, in order to help you grow, to help you move out of your own inner confinement to a space within yourself where you can experience a lot more inner freedom. And as a result of experiencing and embodying this inner freedom, you then have the potential to express that into your physical 3D reality. If you like what you hear in here, I would love for you to join this channel to help it grow. Click like if you so choose, and share it with a friend or two who you feel might benefit from this information. I access higher consciousness, higher awareness, in order to help me grow and to help me help you grow. So if you're here, if you have come upon this channel, then you have been asking for it, for this information in some way, consciously or unconsciously. So thank you for being here. If you are coming back, you probably have a pretty good idea of what I am about. I, Joanna, am literally a mouthpiece for higher wisdom and higher consciousness. And although I have access to it, it does not mean it comes from me. It comes through me. And a lot of the times when I channel this higher frequency, this information, a lot of the times it doesn't make sense to me. In fact, most of the time when I channel, specifically for clients, or even for you here, it makes very little, if any, sense to me. But I have learned to let go of trying to control that and trying to make it sense to me, because it is not for me, it is for you. And whatever you take out of this information, you are the one that's going to put your own understanding or spin on it in a way that is most beneficial to you. And by the way, if whatever I just said makes no sense to you, it is a vibration that goes into your etheric body. So even though your conscious mind may not necessarily logically understand what I'm saying, because I'm just saying words that are being given to me, your unconscious mind, your soul, if you will, understands this perfectly. And there will be a day at some point in the near future where all of a sudden you will go, bing, oh, that's what it means. And I have heard this said to me many, many, many times. So thank you all for being here. It is my pleasure, it is my honor to do this work, and to call it work is really limiting it. But again, the only thing I have is limiting words. So I will try my best to expand on what I'm receiving using human limiting words. Before I move on with today's information messages, I want to remind you, for those of you who are new, that my purpose is to help you gain a greater understanding of yourself. And I do this in various ways. I do this through videos, I do this through group work, I do this through webinars, I do it through private sessions. And one of the things that I have developed is our tools, channel tools, that will help you do just that, to help you expand into greater consciousness. So if you are wanting to embody more inner freedom, if you are wanting to expand your understanding of yourself, if you are wanting to understand and heal your shadow self, and we have many shadows, we live in a world of polarity, click on the link below and get yourself absolutely free at no charge to you tools that I have developed together with my team in order to help you do just that, in order to help you come out of your own hiding, if you will. And we all hide to a certain degree behind the masks that we wear, behind the understandings of what we think we are or who we think we are. But who and what we think we are is just an illusion. For if you are here, you probably have some inkling to the understanding that there is more to you than what you think and what you know, currently being in this physical body. And you are here on this earth for a reason, and everyone has their own reason for being here. But at the end of the day, the highest level reason is simply this. You are here in a physical form in order to experience life to the fullest within the confinement of your own limitations. And as long as you are in a physical body, you will have certain beliefs that limit you, and that's absolutely okay. The idea here is to release as much of these limiting beliefs as we possibly can, so that we can move higher, if you will, on a consciousness level. And the higher we move on a consciousness level, the more we are at peace with ourselves, and the more we vibrate at the highest frequency that is possible, which is unconditional love. So if this is too sappy for you, or it's making you want to throw up, maybe just stick around and see what else comes through. But if the idea of unconditional love triggers you, then there is a pretty good indication that there is a shadow there somewhere that is in conflict with the idea of unconditional love. And you and I and everyone and everything comes from and is part of this unconditional love, which means that aspect of you exists within you as we're speaking. However, you may not have awareness of it, you may not be embodying it, you may not be expressing its fullest potential because you are a human being with a limited mind. So if you want to become less limited, if you want to embody more of your true divine, incredibly powerful self, that I would encourage you to download the free tools. There's also a masterclass on how to connect with your guides and your inner wisdom, and give it a go and see where it leads you. I have heard some pretty phenomenal feedback from people who say that they've listened to many types of meditations, but for some reason these particular meditations, by the way they're channeled, have had a different effect on them. So that is it for as far as free tools. Also, if you would like to get an email from me every week at the beginning of each week with a message for the week, sign up to my newsletter under joannathehealer.com. If you are going to get the tools, you will automatically be signed up. The idea here is for me to connect with you outside of YouTube and share with you some of the wisdom that I receive that is going to be for a particular week. And that information will not be available anywhere other than your own inbox. Of course, you can always unsubscribe if that is what you wish. I don't like getting bogged down with a whole bunch of junk emails, and I try to do my best not to overdo them, and I don't. But when I feel called to send you something, it is because I am being asked to do so. So thank you so much for being part of Joanna the Healer team. Let's move on with today's session. I have been feeling quite a bit off for the last, I would say, 4 weeks at least. I have mentioned this to you before on my previous videos. And my understanding of that is that we are going through a process. I am going through a process that is very freeing at the end of the day, but may feel very confining in the moment as I'm going through it. And part of me being here in a physical body is to share my own experiences, because I am a human in this physical 3D condition. And if I am going through it, chances are you are going through it as well. And when we go through something challenging, something difficult, something we may not readily understand, and then we begin to realize that there are other people who go through the same thing, it makes us feel less alone. It creates almost like this camaraderie, where we begin to form this unified field of individuals that are like-minded, who are in unity with one another. These are the words that are flowing through. It's what I'm being asked to say. I'm trying not to analyze this right now. So if you are here, you are probably going through this yourself. You're going through a process of magnification. What does that mean? Thank you. I'm being asked to describe what I mean by that. Apparently, process of magnification is a process where certain things are being magnified within yourself. Things such as your own limitations, the contracts you have taken upon yourself, defined contracts, thank you. What I mean by contract is some form of understanding that you agreed to. And these contracts, if you will, are not necessarily done on a conscious level. Another way of saying this is our internal programming. From the moment we are born, and even as we are in the gestation period, when we are in the womb, we are being bombarded with a whole bunch of frequencies, and frequency is nothing more, nothing less than information. And all of our lives, we are exposed to all these different frequencies of information. And most of the time, we absorb all this information without even knowing that we are doing so. So the time of magnification right now, which is what we are going through, it's what I'm going through, is to help us recognize what is hindering us on an internal level, and at the same time, what doesn't serve us anymore. And I always say, everything exists and it has its reason, it has a purpose. We may not necessarily know it, oftentimes we don't. That's part of the frustration. Why am I going through this? But your soul knows. Higher consciousness knows, because your soul is not limited to your human mind, to your human understanding of yourself. Your soul is more than your current aspect of your humanness. And these contracts that we take on are meant to help us grow at the end of the day. So limitations help us grow. The way we think and see ourselves, it all helps us grow in some way, shape, or form. We may not necessarily always know exactly how that is happening, but on a higher level, from a higher perspective, everything makes perfect sense. So you are probably going through a process right now that may not make a whole lot of sense to you. Why am I going through this? Why do I feel this way? What's wrong with me? There is nothing wrong with you. There never was anything wrong with you, and there never will be anything wrong with you. The idea of something being wrong with you is a human justification, is a human label, it's a human spin we put on things. But you are likely going through this process right now, and it is a process of purification. If you are not aware of the junk in your house, if you are oblivious to your junk, then you're going to have a house that's full of junk. That's a metaphor. Now, if you have a house that's full of junk, it lowers your frequency. It disturbs a perfect energetic flow. It limits the room you have that could be used for other things. It disturbs our previous status quo. What do I mean by that? The idea of previous status quo means the truth of who we are. So your true status quo simply means that you are more and bigger than the way you see yourself at this moment. And in order for you to see it, to embody it, to be in tune with it, we want to make sure that we declutter whatever is standing in the way of us seeing that. So if you are not able to see your bigness, and if you only are seeing your smallness, as an example, as a metaphor, then that means that there is some internal clutter that is preventing you from seeing your bigness. And we call that limited thinking, limited understanding, limited beliefs. So you are likely in a process of reorganizing yourself from inside out. Now, whenever we go through some sort of reorganization, it means simply that things are being reshuffled. And when things are reshuffling, as you would reorganize your house, it may become a dirty job, if you will. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It simply means that we are disturbing our current status quo. And our current status quo gives us a level of comfort. It gives us a level of stability. It gives us a level of permanence. And we need that on a certain level in order to thrive, not just to survive. And it gives us a certain perception of sureness about ourselves. And as we go through this process of reshuffling, reorganizing, the way you feel about yourself, how sure you feel about yourself, all these things may become disturbed right now. So you may not feel as sure about yourself. You may doubt yourself more. You may feel like something is wrong or you are lacking something. Again, you lack no thing. You are part of consciousness itself, and consciousness is all there is. It lacks no thing. And you are a part of it. So if you feel like you are lacking something, it is because you lack the understanding of yourself, of your true self. Because once you have the understanding of your true self, you realize there's no such thing as lack. That's just a human perception. Now, it does not mean we don't experience lack, but lack to me may be different than lack to somebody else. So it's a matter of what we believe lack is and how it shows up in our understanding. So when I was tuning in yesterday and this morning, I felt this great energy within me. And it was so dynamic and so big that I realized that in that moment, oh, something great is happening. And when I tuned into it, I realized that what is happening is that I, you, we are in the process of coming out of our own confinements. We are in a process of learning how to project our true selves and how to not internalize the what's going on as something bad or even something that the logic can explain, because oftentimes we can find ways to logically explain to ourselves what's going on, but really we don't know. We don't know until we get there. And of course, there's no there, it's just a progression. So if you are in feeling these energies, if you've been feeling off for a while, if you've been dragging your feet, if you've been feeling like, what the heck is going on? What am I missing? You are really in a process of rediscovering yourself. Now, what does it mean to rediscover? It means to go back to something former that was bigger, that was more expanded, which is your true self. I was given a metaphor yesterday for what is happening right now energetically, which is, by the way, huge growth. It's everyone listening to this, you're taking a leap of faith towards amazing growth, huge growth. It's the kind of growth that can't really be described by human words because we haven't been there yet. So we can't describe something we have not experienced yet. But it is great. It is absolutely phenomenal from what I'm sensing. But it doesn't come without a price, if you will. What is the price? The price we pay for becoming greater version of ourselves is we have to let go of whatever has been limiting us thus far, which is your current understanding of yourself. So if your idea of you, as far as your belief is that you are insignificant, as an example, then in order for you to embody the greater version of yourself, you have to let go of that belief. However, that belief has been with you for many, many, many years, most often than not from the time you were very young. So it becomes part of your identity. And when something is part of our identity, we learn to rely on it. It's part of who we are. It's part of who we are. So in order for you to become the greater version of yourself, to embody the greater version of yourself, you have to let go of that part of your identity. And when you identify with something, it tells you, this is you. And when you are in a process of letting that go, for a while there, you may not know what you is. And that's because your idea of you is being redefined. Or may I rephrase? You are in a process of redefining you. So how do you define yourself currently? Do you define yourself in terms of what you have and your inner abundance, or do you define yourself in terms of what you don't have? We tend to go both ways. A lot of times we skew towards the negative. And one of the reasons for that is that somehow it helps with survival. But if we always focus on survival, then we are always focusing on being in an anxious state. So you are in a process of reconfiguring you from inside out. And everyone is going to experience that differently. Everyone will get hit with this process in various different ways. For me, what's coming up is all the different beliefs I have about me that, although have served their purpose, and it was survival, it's no longer serving me. And I'm being faced with it head on, or I am facing it head on by saying, okay, I accept the challenge. Which means whatever I'm being faced with, I am doing my best not to fight it. And that is not a small thing or an easy thing for that matter. And that's because we have a tendency to want to control everything. We believe that if something doesn't happen our way, then it's bad, it's not good. Whatever we have a thing about controlling our destiny. But when that happens, when we try to control things, we are trying to control it from our small human limited mind. Which is not the best way to go if you're trying to embody your unlimited self. So notice what is coming up for you right now. What sort of inner projections are being shown to you on the outside, inner conflicts? What is coming for you right now that you have to face? And it's like, oh my God, here we go again. If something is showing up in your life again, that's causing you a certain level of discomfort, then that means that something is showing up in order for you to face it. So face it head on. I was shown that we are in a process of conquering ourselves. So I thought, okay, let me just look at the word conquering. I mean, I know what it means, but I want to get, I want to get the real understanding. Conquering simply means overcoming. So we are in a process of overcoming our own inner battles. What is an inner battle? An inner battle simply means that you are at odds or at war with yourself. And when we are at war with ourselves, we experience relatively less peace. And I'm hearing the words peaceful warrior. I don't know if there is a thing called a peaceful warrior, because if you are a warrior, then you are fighting, right? So that's a bit of an interesting statement, a peaceful warrior. I don't know if a peaceful warrior actually exists. Because if you are terming yourself as a warrior, you are fighting, right? Now, we can find ways to talk about it in various different ways. I'm not going to go into that, but that's just something interesting that was given to me. The idea of a peaceful warrior. Interesting. If you're fighting, how can you be peaceful? That's an interesting idea. Anyway, back to ourselves. What I was shown yesterday was a vision. But before this vision appeared to me, I said, give me a word, a phrase, or something, a statement that will help me understand where we're at right now energetically. And the word that was given to me was gestation. What does it mean? What does gestation mean? It simply means that something is in a process of growing. And even though I understood the word, I said, give me more. And I was shown a fetus, a baby in the womb. This fetus was surrounded by deep purples and deep blues. And whenever I'm shown something, it means something specific. So I actually looked into deep purple and deep blue, and here's what came up. Deep purple represents depth, trust, loyalty, sincerity, wisdom, confidence, stability, faith, and intelligence. Okay. That was deep blue. Deep purple represents loyalty, nobility, luxury, power, and ambition, including creativity, wisdom, dignity, grandeur, devotion, peace, pride, mystery, independence, and magic. So this fetus being presented to me, embodying these colors, tells me that energetically speaking, we are growing into these energies that I just described. Now, who doesn't want to feel stable or confident or wise or trusting or intelligent? Who doesn't want that? As a matter of fact, I feel that's where we come from to begin with. Who doesn't want to feel powerful? Who doesn't want to feel ambition? Who doesn't want to feel wealthy or mysterious or independent or full of magic? So if you are listening to this, if somehow I ended up on your screen or in your awareness, and I seem to do that, I seem to pop up in people's faces, then that means in a very short order, perhaps even as short order as a few months from now, what I just described, these words that go with deep purple and deep blue, you will be in a position of projecting those attributes to the outside of you. So if you are not a confident person to begin with, chances are you are in a process of growing your confidence. Now, how do you grow confidence? You grow confidence by trying new things, by putting yourself through certain situations that may be new to you to show yourself what you can do. And that helps you become more confident. It helps you see the strength that you have to deal with things. It helps you to know yourself better. So chances are that you are being faced with something new, or many new. And being challenged or challenging yourself to go through these new situations, facing them in certain ways, you are in a process of actualizing your inner strength. My apologies if you hear the thumping. My neighbor decided to put a thumping music on. Nothing I can do about it. I can't control it. I have to accept it. I have to move past it. One of the energies that seems to be collective, or we are collectively in the process of dealing with, is the delusion of control. And I'm not going to go into too much details of what that means. I think everyone can form their own opinions, or everyone has their own understanding. But I'm actually going to read it to you. Thank you. I'm going to read it. The number that is significant is 3 and 6. So 3 to me represents expansion. 6 is to me balance, yin and yang. So we are in a process of moving into a more expanded, unified, balanced way of being. Here's what the message says. We cannot truly control anything, as only the universe, through its infinite wisdom, keeps everything in balance. Your need for control is a deep karmic pattern that is ready to be released. First, you must look deeply at the habits, patterns, and beliefs in your life that reinforce the feeling that you are in control. Practice letting go and trusting. When the urge to control arises, take a deep breath and remember that is only the desire of a fearful ego. So the message behind this card is to begin to heal that need to control and learn to surrender. Letting go to the wise flow of the universe. It is certainly what I am being faced with. Now, I could choose to fight it. I could choose to control it my way. But if I control it my way, it's going to be limited. Now, do not misunderstand me. I am not saying to be a doormat. That's not what I'm saying. That's giving up your ability to be in charge. That's not what I'm saying. But chances are you're in a process right now where certain things are coming up for you. And out of fear, you may have the need to want to control it, to have it your way, to have it be exactly the way you want to, but may not be able to make that happen. And if that is the case for you, try your best to release the need for control and ask the universe for a better way. Because when we release the need to control, magic happens. I don't know how else to explain it other than I'm going to share with you a personal example. I've been going through these mucky energies for a few weeks. I've talked about this before. Nothing pretty about it. It's frustrating. It feels like I'm swimming through murky waters I can't see. And I'm bumping into things and I'm frustrated. And it feels like I'm not making any headways. And there's anger and frustration that comes up with it. It's like, oh, why can't I do anything? It's like I'm moving in circles. And just the other day, I was talking to a friend and she said, you're being stripped down. The reason why you feel this way is because you are being stripped down of your old ways. And the need to control that is only magnifying your frustration. And the reason why you are being stripped down, maybe you are being stripped down right now, is because there is something greater awaiting you. But unless you strip yourself naked, which is another way of saying release the old, you cannot meet the new. Now, I know this. I deal with this every day. I get it. But it's happening with me. And of course, when it's happening with you, with me, it's personal. And that can sometimes cloud our vision. So even though I have this higher understanding, I know exactly how this works. I've seen it 1,000 times with everyone I work with, including friends, family, myself. But when I'm in it, I am not seeing from this perspective. I'm seeing things from my ego's perspective, the very frustrated ego that is limited. So when she said, you're being stripped down, and what is awaiting for you is much greater. Now, I've known this for years. I've always said 2022 is a pivotal year. I don't know why I said that. It was just a feeling I had. And boy, is it true. Now, oftentimes I will channel things and I will know things, but they really don't mean anything until it actually happens. So when she said this, and she literally says, you are being forced to slow down. It's like the universe is going to take things away from you to create this space so that you can allow yourself to grow. So I'm needing time out. The universe is literally saying, time out, Joanna, time out, time out. You need to create space for this growth to happen, for this baby that you are trying to birth, my new version of me, to take place. Now, if you're a woman trying to give birth, you're not going to run to work and try to give birth at the same time. It's never going to happen. You can't. You can't. The birth takes precedence. It takes first place over and above everything else. And it's a process that cannot be stopped. It's a process that cannot be reversed. It has to happen. It is happening. And you have to make space. So I said, okay. All right, I surrender. And I don't know what happened in that moment. Maybe I just needed to hear that. That I said to myself, okay, I accept, I surrender. I'm going to let go of trying to control everything. Now, I'm not a control freak by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I come from the opposite space where I felt I was controlled. So any need, any feeling of somebody trying to control me, I run in the other direction, or used to anyway. But I was trying to figure it out using my own logical head, my human logical mind, which is obviously very limited. And by doing so, I was creating a lot of resistance. It felt like I was running through thick mud. Imagine running through mud that's knee deep and it's really thick. You're running, but you're slowed down. It takes a lot of energy. You've ran a little distance, even if you can run, and you're tired. And you haven't made too much headway because the environment is slowing you down. Now, I could have continued to try to do it my way, which would create more resistance, and this resistance will be persisting, and I would be feeling more tired and more frustrated. But I know better than that. I've learned the hard way. This is not the first time at this rodeo, as they say. And I said, okay, I surrender. And I'm telling you, as I sit here with every ounce of my being, within a day, everything started to fall into place. It was literally magical. Situations fell into place. Things just came together when I said, okay, I release the need to try to do it my way. Now, that is not always easy. Why? Because in order to release the control, we have to face our fears. And what a magnificent way to move into higher consciousness through facing your fears. Now, I know many of you have faced your fears more than once. Heck, you're probably doing it right now. That's why you're here, trying to figure out what is this all about? When is this going to end? Here's the truth, as I see it, of course. Don't listen to a word I say unless it resonates with you. If it resonates with you, it means that it's connecting to your deeper truth. We will always have some things to face. However, the more we face the big stuff, the less the big stuff will be in control of our destiny. One of the things that has been big with me for most of my life, from as far as I can remember, was my need to make myself small. I've talked about this before, and many of you will connect with that. In fact, I know you've said so before. And this need for me to stay small was purely for the purpose of self-preservation. It is what I believed made me feel safe. And that made me be in a certain confinement. It made me live in a certain confinement, or it created a certain confinement in which I lived, in a prison. And there's layers to that, obviously, right? So I've released a good chunk of it, but there is another one coming up today, like a little bubble coming up to the top of the water. And there is more that's being released. And even though it's a challenge, it's far less of a challenge now than ever before. Because I have a certain level of understanding that acceptance and releasing control is one of the ways where we make big headways. Not always easy. So I have few challenges right now staring me in the face, and you know what I'm saying? All right, bring it on. Where even just few short years ago, they would have scared me enough to back away and say, no, I'm not going to do it. It would make me go into a incredibly anxious state. Here's what I'm saying today. Pardon my French, fuck it. So be it. So be it. And this is when the magic happens. This is when the universe steps in and says, finally, she got the memo. Now we can truly help her. Because the universe will come in and do what the universe feels is in my highest and best interest. That is outside of my current thinking and awareness. When I step out of the way. So, what is coming up in your life right now that you have to face? That you are willing to face now, where perhaps you were not willing to face before? What sort of programs or understandings you have about yourself that are coming up for you right now, and they're visible? Because that's one of the things that's happening right now. Old programming, old stories, old understanding of ourselves are becoming much more visible, where we can actually see it. And I always say, you cannot effectively deal with something unless you know it's there and you have some level of understanding what you're dealing with. Otherwise, you're chasing ghosts. And I always say, good luck with that one. I haven't met yet anyone who's been successful at that. As a metaphor, of course. So you are likely in a process of moving into higher awareness and higher understanding of yourself, which is really the concept of you. The version of you that you hold true within yourself. So what is true about you today? What is true about you today? Now, when you're going to answer that, if you are willing to, that will be strictly your conscious awareness, but there's other layers of unconscious awareness. I had a session with a client just the other day, to give you an example, because shadow work and inner child work is one of my biggest works, if you will. It's what I work with. And this person went back to when he was 4 years old, and he, for the first time in his adult understanding, conscious awareness, realized that there's a part of him that feels like a failure and is terrified of failure, all due to the environment he was in. And we all have it. Every single one of us has these shadows. You're not spared from it if you are a human being. And that's because you chose to come into humanness in order to help you grow through this challenge of being a human. And to be a human is to be limited, or is to perceive yourself as limited, because you are unlimited virtually. I mean, you have a physical body. There is a limitation within that, yes. But even within that confinement, there is so much more room for more. Your mind, your body may be limited in a certain way, but your mind is unlimited. We heal with the mind. Body heals itself. The mind also destroys the body. We don't always have conscious awareness of this. So anyway, back to my client. He realized this, and as a result, he had a certain aha moment. And with guidance from me and my team, he was able to shift that, to shift the energy from inside out. Now, had he not made the choice to do that, to ask for help, he would be going on about his life and doing what he always does, while this inner conflict was dragging him down and not helping him being the best that he can be. It was literally limiting him from his unconscious awareness, from his unconscious space. So this might be a time for you to really try to deeply tune in and know yourself. And this is the kind of knowing that will not come to you through your logical understanding. That's only surface. Nothing wrong with that. But in order to get the true, deeper understanding, we have to go beyond the logic, the analytical. And oftentimes it requires help. It requires a doula, if you will, to help and guide you. There's obviously different ways of doing it. I happen to do it certain ways, and my techniques come from being a hypnotherapist. So I have quite a bit of tools dealing with the unconscious mind and how to tap into the unconscious mind. And they're actually quite easy if you think about it. But we have to get past this little thing that we have, the ego mind. So what I'm trying to say is that look at your life right now and ask yourself, how am I limiting myself? And do not look at it from a space of judgment. That's not the point. The point is for you to recognize that you limit yourself. If you're a human being, you limit yourself. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. The question is, do you want to keep limiting yourself? And if so, more power to you. It's your deal. It's your gig. Or do you want to limit yourself less? And in order to limit yourself less, you have to recognize your limitations. Not because you can't do something, but because you tell yourself you can't do something. Two different things. Because you are capable of so much more than you tell yourself, consciously and most importantly, unconsciously. And that requires some inner child work, in my experience. The tools that I've developed are designed just for that. There's one specific about connecting with your inner child. And connecting with your child helps you release inner conflict and helps you build stronger relationship with yourself, which is the single most important relationship you will ever have. Your relationship with you. So if you are not kind to yourself, if you are belittling yourself, if you are hearing the voices of your mom and dad or teacher who said, you can't do this, you're stupid. It's time to recognize they're still there and they are absolutely 100% standing in your way of being more of yourself. That's just the truth of it. And facing your shadows is not easy because it often brings about uncomfortable feelings. But please understand that feelings are energy, nothing more, nothing less. They're just energy. And we are here to experience a gamut of energies, different kinds of energies, gazillion different kinds of energies, not just the good ones, the bad ones as well, except there's no good or bad as far as the consciousness is concerned. Those are just labels we humans put on things. So you might be having some old pain being exposed, old pain or old hurt feelings. Maybe even feelings of indecisiveness. If you are someone who is highly indecisive, that means you don't trust yourself. Why not? What part of you is not trusting you? Because it's not the higher you, it's not the higher consciousness you, it's not your higher self. Your higher self is unlimited. Your ego self is limited. The idea here is to bring more balance so that your limited self is not in a driver's seat, that your unlimited self is more in a driver's seat, and it's a complement. Okay? So I've talked for an hour, 10111, that's a good sign. I did not think this was going to go that way, but it is what it is. I trust the process, and I trust that this is exactly what needs to come out. But I'm going to pick 3 cards to give you a little bit more, maybe tune in a little bit more specifically what you might be facing over the next little while. I will be using these cards, John Holland. The other cards I'm using is the Galactic Heritage cards, and also, John Holland. For links, you can click down below. Ooh, okay. Pile number 1. Choose your battles. Choose your battles. The number 7, I just heard July. July may be a significant month for you. It may be your birth month, or it may be something you will be facing in terms of your battles in the month of July. Okay? This is what I heard. Who are you against within yourself? Who are you against within yourself? What aspect of you is standing in your way? Who are you fighting? Are you fighting some monsters? Are you fighting some projections, your inner projections? If you're fighting with someone, who are you really fighting? And what is the fight about? What is it really about? You might be in conflict with someone over something very little. And we all know that if you're fighting about the sock, it ain't about the sock. It's something way deeper. The sock just happens to be the focal point. But this is more about facing the battles within yourself. The inner voices that stop you and keep you away from being more. Whose voices are those? Are those your moms, your dads, your teachers, your brothers, your sisters, your priest, your environment? And are these voices louder than your own inner truth? Because your own inner truth is that you are virtually unlimited. And whatever limits you, whatever limits your choices, whatever limits your decisions, those are voices from the past. They generally have nothing to do with you. And I just heard the word control. Are there some voices internally that are trying to control you? And I'm not talking about somebody having a psychosis. That's not what I'm talking about. That's a completely different thing. What thoughts are trying to control you? What thoughts are in control of you? Okay, so pile number 1, choose your battles. And I also want to say choose your battles wisely. Sometimes in order to win the war, you have to lose the battle. Okay? So this is about the bigger picture. This is going to make sense to someone. Okay? What I also hear is you're not alone in this. The universe is there to help you. And I feel like you are being asked to face these inner voices, these conflicts, these shadows aspects of yourself. You're being asked to illuminate these aspects of you so that they're no longer in control of you. What controls you? I know people, and it used to be me. It is still me to some extent, not very much, but still is. Food used to control me. Food used to rule my life. I used to be, I'm going to use the word obsessed, although it's not the right word, but I used to give a lot of power to food. I would try to make my life around food. Does food control you? Do you have certain eating disorders or eating habits? Do you have other vices that control you? And remember, they're there for a reason. They're fundamentally there for a reason. Your job is to find what is the reason and heal that. Heal that. Okay. That's pile number 1. Pile number 2, I'm seeing a lock coming open. You are unlocking an aspect of yourself that has been wanting to be freed for a long, long time. It has to do with the idea of being deserving. So pile number 2, you are likely dealing with some undeservingness, a shadow aspect that has to do with your idea of not being deserving of whatever it is. Love, money, a beautiful relationship, whatever it may be. For some of you, I am seeing you being called stupid. Obviously, it's not that you're stupid, but you are being called stupid, and that was one way of trying to control your behavior. Remember, the theme for collective is control, okay? Somebody tried to control you using negative and hurting words. And these words became your identity in how you now identify yourself. It may not be something that's consciously here, but it is very much a part of you if this resonates with you. If this is you, it's time for you to release yourself from that. It doesn't serve you anymore. It makes you feel small and less than. Not because you are less than, it makes you feel less than. And you identify yourself with that feeling, which I would say most people do. But remember, your feeling is something that is experienced by you. It is not you. Your feeling is not you. Your doubt is not you. Your body is not you. Your limitation is not you. You just learned to identify with it. So see it for what it is. It is part of your experience, but it is not you. And I promise you, when you start looking at things in that way, something magical happens. You begin to distance yourself from your own illusions and delusions of your own identity. And I'm telling you, when you start seeing yourself that way, that you are not your feeling, that you are not, you're stupid, you're not that. It's an experience you have, but you're not that. I promise you, when you start seeing yourself as more than all those things that you're feeling and thinking about yourself, you are going to be unfreaking stoppable. Unstoppable. I'm just being reminded. You may have heard of the book 4 Agreements. Miguel, I forget what his last name is. It's a fantastic book. If you had not read it yet, you can find it on YouTube as an audiobook. It is fantastic, and it talks about a lot more in depth about what I just said. And it was actually brought to my attention yesterday. I read it a long time ago, but it was brought to my attention yesterday almost like I need to, I myself need the refresher. Because I get lost in my ego and in my humanness, and I forget. And when I forget, I become more of the ego version of me. And there's nothing wrong with ego. I always say that. I'm not one of those people that say, kill your ego. Absolutely not. No. You have ego for a reason. You do. Nothing wrong with that. Beautiful. Ego is beautiful. Ego helps you survive. It makes you experience beautiful things. Never try to kill your ego. No. That's when you create a lot of inner conflict. But I try not to be in my limited ego. So if you have not read this before or listened to it, for the 4 Agreements, I would highly, highly encourage you to do that. Number 2, pile number 2, strengthening bonds. Okay? It is in reverse position, so here's how I see it. In order for you to become more of yourself, your true self, your powerful self, you have to first recognize how you keep yourself stuck in terms of where you are, in terms of your limitations. Your mind's limitations, what you tell yourself. I just heard the word, I'm not capable. Oh, you're capable. Oh, you're capable. You are so capable, in fact, that you believe you are incapable and you make it your reality. You're that capable. You're that capable. Don't tell me you're not capable. Now, does that mean that you have to be good at everything as a human? No, that's not the idea. Perhaps someone called you incapable. Perhaps someone doubted your capability and now you doubt your own capability. It's not that you're incapable. It's that you doubt your capability. You have it. In order to doubt something, you must have it. Look at that. And become the author of your own destiny, of your own story. Don't let someone write your story. It is your story after all, isn't it? And we all do it. We all have other people write our story until we realize, wait a second, it's my story. Why are all these other people? Why is my environment dictating how I live? Now, we need a certain order to be alive on this human 3D world. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about listening to your own intuition, for what is important to you, for what is right for you. Not listening to other people to tell you what is right for you. How the hell do they know? Most of the time, they don't even know what's right for them. Okay. You are more, hear me, you are more than capable. That's a fact. Okay. Now, pile number 3. Decide your destination and follow through with it. There's 2 ways I want to approach that. Your destination may be a goal you have, or, which is better in my opinion, my humble opinion, it is a feeling you are wanting to embody. There's nothing wrong with either or. I feel the feeling you are wanting to embody is far more, it's bigger somehow. It's bigger. When we limit it only to an idea, we limit our possible experiences. When we tie our goal into how we want to feel, we may experience things that are currently out of our human awareness. So there's a lot more possibilities. So pick a path for yourself. What does that mean for you? Is it a relationship? Is it more abundance? Is it more money? Is it more inner freedom? Whatever that is, the words are follow through with it, which means pick a destination and have a plan. This plan involves certain steps, and following these steps will take you to that destination. For example, if you want to be a happier person, ask yourself, what would a happy person do? If I was a happy person, what would I do? I would worry less. I would be more humble. I would be more appreciative of everyday things. I would be less focused on my physical circumstances. Doesn't mean that you are not focused. You obviously have to be. You would be less focused on what other people think. There's so many different ways that can be defined as a happy person. Less anxious. So some of the steps that you may need to take to reach that goal of being a happier person is taking time for yourself. Meditate. Look after your body, look after your physical needs, look after your emotional needs, look after your spiritual needs, because in order for you to be truly happy, you have to take care of all these aspects of yourself. You're not just physical, you're not just mental, you're not just emotional, you're not just spiritual, you're all 4. Is there more? You're at least 4. And you have to feed those aspects, every single one of you. Okay? If you don't, something is going to feel like it's missing, and that is not going to make you happy. Be your own boss. Okay? Whoever you are, the message is be your own boss. So this may literally be a situation where life is taking you outside of your circumstance, and the universe says, be your own boss. Don't work for somebody else. Be your own boss. So that's one. The second one is being your boss, your own boss, meaning being more in charge of yourself. Don't look to other people to tell you what to do. Don't go to psychics and say, hey, tell me what's my future, because then they will tell you your future, which means it's something they tell you. Now, it doesn't mean you can't go and ask for guidance. Of course. That's why we have people around. That's what I do. People ask me for guidance all the time, but I always say, my job is not to tell you, or spirit to tell you what to do. My job is to show you a situation, and then you get to decide. Because you have this thing called free will. Because if spirit tells you what to do, then that means you are making spirit be in control of you, in control of your life. It's not going to work. You have to be in charge of your own life. Pick the destination and follow through, like pile number 2. So be your own boss. And I'm seeing somebody, so this is at least for one person, who is wanting to make that step, but it's really difficult. Now, I know what that means. I used to work in a corporate world, and for me to leave a paying job and make my own living was not an easy decision, because all sorts of fears come up. Oh my God, can I do it? There is no way I can do this and actually make a living. No, my God, are you gonna? One of my parents literally said, go get a real job. And I remember it was one of the most painful things I heard from one of my parents, because it told me that my own parent didn't believe in me. And I decided to do it anyway. I had a supportive partner. I still have a supportive partner, who obviously supported me in this, and here I am. You are listening to me, and I've been doing this for quite a while now. This is what I do for a living. And I have a YouTube channel, something that I was told to do by spirit, or suggested. But it wasn't easy. So if you are one of those people that is now thinking about becoming your own boss, I completely understand where you may have some, questions, like wondering, feeling a little bit shaky. I totally get it. Totally get it. But if this is making sense to you, if this is resonating with you, then there is something in it for you. Okay? Literally, be your own boss. So it's either to do with work, or you being more in charge of yourself, not being so reliant on other people in terms of telling you how to live your life. Codependent relationships, for example. When you are too dependent on somebody else to make you happy, to make you satisfied, then that creates a lot of pressure on a relationship, and 9 times out of 10, they don't work out very well, because it's just too much pressure. It's too much pressure. Let's see if a card wants to come up for you. Reach out, ask for help. I feel pile number 3, your shtick, if you will, right now is all about independence. It is you growing into this more independent person. And that does not mean that if you are independent, you can't ask for help. We all need people in our life. If you were to be one person, you would be born on an island somewhere with nobody around. That's, we're pack animals. Ask for help. The universe is there to support you. You are in a space of growth. Financial, what I'm hearing is financial. And you might be reluctant asking for help. If so, if you are reluctant asking for help, ask yourself why. Is it because you feel they will reject you? Is it because you are afraid of being rejected? Is it because you have some undeserving stuff going on that you don't feel deserving of help? Is it because you're not used to asking for help. I don't know what it is for you, but there is a theme around independence here. Okay? But independence does not mean you cannot ask for help. That's not what it means. Perhaps this is asking you to ask for help, how to become more independent. Okay? The other message is this. You are whole already. There is nothing that is missing in you, but you first have to see it. And I'm seeing an image of somebody saying, I'll do this when, blah, blah, blah. I'll take this, I'll get this done when. I will reach this when. Conditional. You have a whole bunch of conditions on yourself. I will be independent when. If this is you, what are all those conditions that you have about yourself? And maybe asking someone to help you with that. Conditions. Can I have more, please? For example, you are conditioned to think small about yourself. If you are conditioned to think small of yourself and you are wanting to, for example, have your own business, that is not going to help you. It will absolutely not help you, because you will be limiting yourself. So there's a need for you to look at your own conditionings, okay? Which is your own inner structure. So that's what I have for pile number 3. I hope this was helpful. Of course, download the tools which are down below. I feel confident many of these tools will help you get deeper into your own understanding of yourself. And then you can choose to work with it and release it. I hope you have a wonderful week. I am recording this on Friday the 13th. I don't take it as a bad sign. I actually think it's a great date. We have the eclipse coming up in a few days. So this is all very interesting. I look forward to seeing your comments. Have yourself a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.